Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Studs. I'm your host Mark, and this is Daniel.
That's me.
And that's Alex.
Hey everyone.
Now, frequent viewers of the channel will definitely recognize me and Daniel from Morning Break and other regular shows. However, Alex is new to Between the Studs, I believe. Is that correct?
It's my first time.
There you go.
Now, Alex used to work here at Atlanta Brick Co. before even Justin started doing YouTube videos.
That's true. Way
But,
back in the day.
But yeah, so among many life journeys, he's returned to us for a brief spell and leased. So we'll be able to see him at the store doing all sorts of stuff, especially base plates.
That's
So
right.
you should see more of those on atlbrick.com. But today we're talking about something that I think we can all relate to. Lego sets from the year 2000.
Something we can all relate to. I was like 3 years old, Mark.
Well, we like these sets though, right? Yeah,
I do.
So,
I collect older stuff.
Were you guys alive in the year 2000?
I was.
There you go.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
So,
I was
I
6
got
years
some,
old.
so.
So.
For frame of reference, one of my honorable mentions is going to be the first set I ever owned, and it's like a Town Junior set.
There you go.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Barely into Lego at this
But
time.
the reason we're talking about this specific year and specific sets from this year is because we're imagining if, time cruises were a real thing and we could go back and, get these treasures from specific time periods, and we decided to start with...
This is like our fantasy shopping spree.
Exactly.
You always see people posting pictures of the Lego store back in the day.
Exactly, old-fashioned
yes.
kind of blurry pictures of what was for sale back then. But we're picking a unusual year to go from first. Kind of just a round number, 2000. It was an odd year for Lego.
Y2K.
Yeah, so Y2K
Yeah,
just
everybody
happened.
thought it would end.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No more Lego.
Exactly. No. Thankfully, the world kept going just fine, relatively speaking. But it was between 1999. There was a lot of releases in 1999. Space had just kind of wrapped up. Rock Raiders had come and gone. It was before things like Bionicle, Jack Stone, and Galador would appear. So Lego's worst was yet to come. But it was in
Things were rapidly declining. We'll say that.
maybe a calm before the storm, but you could see the black clouds on the horizon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. There were some gems as we'll get to, but things on the whole were not looking great at this time.
Yeah, but that being said, because this is kind of an interim period, there's some unusual stuff which I think we all kind of tapped into with our lists. We have 4 different sets we're each going to pick from that we would bring back to the future for whatever reason. Nostalgia, current value. A lot of these sets have gone up tremendously in the past 23 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's dive in. Who wants to go first? I could go first. I usually hand it off, but... shall I?
Whatever you want to do, you can go
That
first.
sounds
I'll
good.
start and let's go along the
do it.
line here and circle back. Let's do
Sure.
that. Okay, so the first set I think I want to talk about is the Highway Construction set from Lego Town back in the day. So this is very much a nostalgia pick. It retailed for $80 back in 2000, which is pretty high for that time. I mean, once it got towards 100, that had to be a big set. It's now worth maybe 120 to 200 for a really nice condition one. So the value it's gone up maybe with inflation, but I mean there's not a lot of collectible value there.
Yeah.
City and Town always has a new wave every year since then, so the old ones don't hold up as well. However, I think the fun thing about Highway Construction is it has those big bridge piece. So there's a big ramp, and then there's a straight and a curve, and another ramp down.
So cool.
Some cranes and big construction vehicles. And they haven't really made any big 3-dimensional road pieces, especially for like a bridge, since then, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
Not really
not much
since
you
then.
can really
It was
pull up
that
as an example.
Other sets with that same road system.
Yeah.
Nothing really too similar.
So the nostalgia for me is I never got this set. I never got to play with it, which is a real
That's so
shame because it's
sad.
kind of cool. But I had a book. I had a little DK reader,
This was
level
what was-
1.
This was what was left on the cutting room floor of Mark's Christmas list.
Exactly.
The year 2000.
No. I probably would have liked this set, but I was thinking about other things. Anyway, this reader book meant a lot to me because it's how I actually learned how to read because there was Lego in the book. And I was like, oh, I could read this book. It's got Lego. It actually had a version of the Brickster. And he had escaped with some money from the bank, and he tried to hide on the bridge, and he ended up getting caught. So it was a great little story, and it had this set very prominently featured in the book. Anyway, so that's why I'm picking this set.
Now, he was not included in the set.
No.
Though, so you totally fell for this marketing.
Exactly.
gimmick
I just
here.
wanted the bridge that the Brickster had taken a nap on, so that was it. So,
there you go.
but yeah, so that's my first pick. It's not really for any money reason, but I think that it's just a cool, unique set that's very much forgotten nowadays. Like if you found those pieces, you wouldn't know what they're from. I mean, even I wouldn't know half the pieces from that set just because it's unrecognizable now. So, but yeah, and I think we're not really ranking them. We're all just appreciating what we think about it. So what did you guys? Do you even know what it looks like? Do we need to bring up a picture for you guys?
I did have you pull up a picture for me a few minutes ago.
Okay.
But
That'd be awesome.
it's let's put it this way, Mark. It's good that you got this one out of the way first.
Yes.
How
Okay.
about
Okay. There you
I'll
go.
put it that way.
Let's get it up for Alex here.
Yeah.
So
there
this
you
is
go.
what it looks
Just a quick
like.
frame of reference there.
Just a little bridge and
It looks like
a couple vehicles.
Was it a juniors set?
No, it wasn't.
It has
Is
that
it a
vibe,
town
for
junior
sure.
set? Because it's a lot of chunky pieces.
It's
I mean,
low
you got
part
those big,
counts, yeah.
There's big crane-based pieces and the big road pieces.
310 pieces, according to Wikipedia.
Theme
more than it
City
looks.
Center. Wow.
And it also, a lot of these vehicles featured heavily in Lego Racers 2. So you could drive these vehicles
Gotcha.
in Lego Racers 2, which is pretty fun.
Construction vehicle?
Yeah, a full-on backhoe driving.
Were these like 200cc, like
Apparently.
speeding through the race
They
course
had
in a backhoe?
turbochargers, that's all I know.
All
Yeah.
right. A little nitro
Anyway,
in the
wow.
tank.
So yeah, I think we'll get better from here on out because there's some cool ones coming up. But Daniel, what's your first one you want to present as one of your picks, or even maybe an honorable mention?
So I'll say some of these I do have in my
Yeah.
collection now. I came at this from an angle of if I was putting together my Christmas wish list in the year 2000.
So you're
So
looking at it.
regardless of what I have now,
through a
if I
lens.
was browsing the whole breadth of the catalog from the year 2000, what were the things that would have been on my wanted list that year? So the first one I'm going to go with is 6575, the polar base from the Arctic theme, which if you've never looked at the Arctic theme, it just, something about it has a certain charm that no Arctic sub-theme of city has had since. I mean, they had like these,
Yeah.
you know, it's got the same features. You know, they were mining these big ice crystals that had like scorpions in them. They still do that. There were polar bears. There were half-track vehicles, but I don't know, something about it, it's just the color scheme or the old construction techniques, just something about it has a coolness factor that I don't think they've really been able to replicate since then.
Yeah.
This one had like a big observation dome kind of on the top, and there were some fun play features and some just really zany pieces and recolors and things that I think are really cool. So I do have this one in my collection now. It's a really fun one.
Yeah, this one actually really speaks to me because it was before the early 2000s period when you got a lot of curved slopes. Everything here has a sharp angle, very dynamic, cold cut look to it. It's like crystal clear, and so it's a very interesting set line. I had a couple of these as a
the
kid.
windows were like little portals, and the slopes kind of look like it's made to weather like a really severe storm. It's almost got kind of a space like quality to it, which is I think what makes it cooler than some of the more realistic interpretations that have happened since then. There were also a lot of vehicles with it. I mean, the base was in kind of 4 discrete sections that would just sit next to each other, but it had, I mean, a helicopter and a half-track and like a ski vehicle and, you know, maybe a little like sled that it kind of towed behind it. So there was no shortage of vehicles to go with it.
We actually have on Wikipedia, you can find pictures, screenshots from Lego Racers 2, which was a fairly open world game. It was in there too.
Man, if I'd known that, I would have used that as a transition.
Exactly. Speaking of Lego Racers 2,
we'll edit that, baby.
Arctic was heavily featured in that too, so it's great. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, another great theme, another great set. Well, actually, you can debate whether my first pick was anyway.
A great set.
Moving on to another great set. Alex, what's your first pick for the year 2000 that you would secure for today?
My first pick from the year 2000, it's actually a Star Wars set. It is set number 7155, the Trade Federation AAT, Armored Assault Tank. And this one's just very nostalgic for me. It was the first time I got Lego Battle Droids. First time I got, you know, a droid tank. And they've come out with several since. And this one still stands on its own, probably, personally to me, the best. And so, and it's really because of this printed piece right here. It's just so good. They did such a great job with it. And just so nice to have those big printed pieces. And we really don't get any of that anymore. So something... very 2000s early, you know, that time frame.
I was actually surprised to see at Brick World Chicago somebody had done a mock with the tan AATs, and they were still using those pieces in a modern day mock. This was just a few days ago. Yeah,
even because of that, because it's still the best out there. I think even used it goes for like $50, $70.
Yeah.
And sealed, we're talking like $250 today, so it's really gone up in value. I think it was like $20 or something when it came out. And you've also got this same year the MTT, the bigger tank. But Lego's done such a better job on the newer ones.
Yeah.
And that one's really not gone up as much in value as the AAT. So
Yeah.
Have they even done another one in tan since then? Has
they
there been
did
any?
one, but it's really not good at all.
That's- yeah,
That one
It's got
features
Jar
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 Jar, yeah.
yeah.
Everything went down over there.
I mean, yeah, battle droids we don't think twice of them now because they haven't changed in so long,
Yeah.
but this was, I'm sure, one of the first sets that they came in, so that was a novelty back then.
Yeah, I would say that most old Star Wars sets, they look a little chunky, a little platey, a little studdy.
Yeah.
But this one, you could argue that it's actually a better fit to the original design of the vehicles than the modern ones because those huge quarter dome pieces are really perfect for that. So
Yeah.
it's really awesome.
It's so good.
It is kind of there's something a little off about it. It's like, I mean, I know this has some parts removed from it in the picture we're looking at, but the back of it actually sticks out really quite far because I've seen this one built, and I think maybe they weren't quite sure what the proportions of it were.
Yeah.
You're just getting some
Early
concept
screen
art,
grabs from the concept arts, from the
Oh, I
movie.
forgot with these early Star Wars sets, we were just looking at a picture where you can do other builds, and they would have it in the back for you to do. Everything that was the coolest thing as a kid, seeing those, like, oh, I can build that.
Back when Star Wars sets had alt builds.
Oh,
for,
yeah.
non-canon vehicles.
Not a
yeah.
chance nowadays.
Yeah, nowadays,
No, fat
like-
chance.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's gone up a little bit, but it's still, you think it's still fairly purchasable, especially in a used condition,
Oh,
maybe?
absolutely,
So,
for the used.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all three of the ones that we first brought up are definitely cool, but maybe underrated. Like, you really don't really see them featured as heavily as some other items
That's
from this
true,
era.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm going to say most of the stuff from this year is not exactly
This is
anybody's white whale.
Exactly. This is between the really big highlights because like the end of the 90s was classic space, and then the early 2000s was the really dark periods. This is getting into the darkness. It's a very unusual year. I'm sorry, guys.
Here, I'll throw in an honorable mention now because it's a good time to follow it up on the Tales of Star Wars. This was the year of the first Millennium Falcon, which some people are kind of have some conflicting opinions about. It's good from a standpoint that it set the foundation for progress in the future, but
A low bar.
it's a little chunky. It's got kind of a weird cockpit piece, so it's unusual, but that was an honorable mention for this year as well.
Yeah.
Amongst some other ones, just to rattle them off real quick, the first Slave One and the Gungan Patrol were some other notable Star Wars sets from this
Classic
year.
ones.
Yeah, because Star Wars would have just started the year before in 1999. So 2000, they would have been like, okay, second step for Star Wars. A couple really great ones. Millennium Falcon maybe a little more controversial now, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
Back then it was probably nuts.
only by comparison.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, so we've gone through the first set of all three of us. Let's circle back to me. I'll bring out my second one. And this one, let's go with this one. This one is a very unique set. They didn't do a lot of stuff like this back then or even today. It almost, if you look at the box, it almost doesn't look Lego, which is weird. Have you ever seen the box for the Statue of Liberty set, the old one?
Yep.
I did not know that existed.
You didn't even know? Oh my goodness, here, let me look it
I
up for
believe
you.
there was someone at Brickworld who had one for sale, one of the vendors.
Exactly, let me get the set
So
number.
they pop up every once in a while, but it is a weird one.
And yeah, so it came out in that year. It lasted for 2 years on store shelves. Let's see if I can find it here.
Wow, that's surprising. That was out so long.
And it featured sand green, which is a relatively new color back in that time period.
I believe this was the first set that it came in, apart from, at least in brick form anyway,
and then
maybe not
Life
some
on Mars
specialized pieces.
shortly after, yeah.
Such as like Yoda's head or maybe some other special things. But this was certainly the first one it came in most brick form.
Yeah, it featured 2,882 pieces back in 2000, and it retailed for $200 back in 2000. That was a substantial amount of money. That was like 2.5 times a primo set back then. So it was expensive back then, but now it's really expensive. It's gone up a lot, and I would love to have this set. It's chunky a little bit. It's a little bit like low poly Legoland looking model, but
it is very Legoland,
it's also pretty big. It's I think it's over 1.5 feet tall, very tall model, much bigger than the current one, which is much smoother. But I think it's a cool set. I always thought this was neat looking at the Lego magazines back as a kid, and so I would definitely grab this and get back in the time machine and get back nowadays.
It's certainly unusual.
Now it's 800 plus for a good complete one.
I'm
So
surprised it's
For
only
a
that
used
much.
one.
that's for a
honestly.
used
That is
one.
surprising.
A
I mean, you
sealed.
compare that to like the Darth Maul bust or
Well, it's Statue of Liberty is
know,
fairly like,
things like the early Eiffel Tower.
yeah, fairly generic. They've made a nicer one now, so maybe that value has dropped a little bit too.
Yeah,
I don't know. So, but I think it's a great
So
set.
I'm sure it's a rare one because I bet it's the kind of thing that not a lot of people bought
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it's just
especially-
so out there. And Lego wasn't exactly marketing things towards adults back then with those deeper pockets. So.
No.
Yeah, they were just starting to. I feel like around this time because that's
Mhm.
when you see the first like Star Wars UCS sets, like X-wing, TIE Interceptor.
This is the first
They're
UCS
starting to get
sets,
into
yeah.
that market.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, that and Alex has got one we'll talk about later that's in that sculptural category on Bricklink, which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Daniel, what's your second set you want to bring up?
All right, let's get a little Knights Kingdom up in the mix.
Mm,
So
here
this
we go.
was the first year of all of Knights Kingdom. Is that
Yep.
correct?
First
so the
and
whole,
last,
the whole
I think.
wave
Yeah.
was
Oh.
contained within 2000. But the highlight that stood out for me, well, first of all, as I was browsing through the sets, I was seeing the little ones pop up that had either the chrome helmet or the chrome
Oh,
shield.
that's nice.
But there was one set in particular that I'm going to guess was a shop at home exclusive that was a bundle pack called the Chrome Series set that had all 4 of those in one bundle pack. So they were all relatively small sets, but one had the Chrome sword, which is actually really quite common.
Yep.
The Chrome, it's the Dragon Master's helmet.
Mhm.
Then the shield, it's sort of the oval shield with a little design on it. And then I'm trying to remember. It was the breastplate that was
Also
left
from
over
Pirates.
from Pirates, the Spanish Armada
Nice.
chrome breastplate. So you could get a bundle pack that would have each of those MacGuffins.
Yep.
Wow, they made it so easy.
Right. Yeah, you would think they would be in the top of the line sets, right? King
Yeah.
Leo's Castle would have been the
See
only way
when
to get
Dark
the
Clouds were there on
the
heads.
helmet. So I
Yep.
guess they were doing you a favor back then, but if it still sold more sets, then more power to them. But again, they maybe were not making the best financial decisions for the company back then.
Yeah.
Regardless of what we as consumers wanted.
Exactly. Yeah. Some great unique minifigures in all those sets because they all had a
Yeah.
different look
No
and
kidding.
different style. So it's pretty cool.
Oh gosh, yeah, they're some of them are a little uncanny for
And
sure.
all of them named too. So even
All
like
of them named, yeah.
Cedric
I
the
love
Bull's
it.
henchman, Weasel. Did you know about Weasel?
I probably did when I was adding these figures online, and I was
Mhm.
surprised that they all had names because it
Yep.
made more work for me to type them all out. But I guess it beats doing Bull Soldier 1, Bull Soldier 2, Bull Soldier 3.
Yeah, these are fantastic sets. I remember these had a lot of nostalgia for me. So you talking about the chrome pieces? Those were pretty
Yeah.
desirable
Oh
back
yeah,
then.
for sure.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, they were intended to be something shiny that attracts a kid's attention.
Exactly. I have one more set from that line to talk about later. But Alex, what's the next one you want to bring up here?
Yeah, so since we were talking about, you talked about the Statue of Liberty, the sculptural sets, I'll bring in the sculpture minifigure they came out with.
Oh yes, I'm glad you picked
Ricky
this one.
Jimmy. He
Ricky
is
Jimmy.
right here.
That's right.
Look at this guy. He
We
looks
actually have. This is
a
one
little
of
bit
the
like
few ones we
Mario,
actually
the
have.
plumber. But he really hold his own. I think nowadays sealed he goes for about 1,100. We have him for like 400 built like this. But yeah, if I could go back in time, I would definitely get this. I mean, it just screams Lego, and it still has that kind of 2000 look with kind of the blocky look, and it's so cool to have in my collection nowadays. So I would definitely go back and get Ricky Jimmy.
Yep.
Well, this is pretty topical with the new sort of jumbo-sized minifigure coming
That's
out.
true,
but
which is exciting.
this is in a much different style.
Much
for
more parts
sure.
intensive. Yeah. so-
Yeah. Again, with that kind of Legoland, just purely bricks and plates, kind of
Mhm.
low poly
Good.
rendering
it's
of him there.
Well, you can give him different poses. So.
Does
Yeah.
it only move at 90-degree angles?
Yeah, he's got an axle in there that you can remove in place. I don't think it turns
I can
very
only go
quickly.
so far.
Yeah.
for sure,
No, I
but
guess it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
he
You
does
could
turn
maybe get some
360.
different angles since these have 6 things.
Oh, yeah.
But
But yeah, it's a great,
wacky.
great, unusual set. Had a lot of pieces and expensive to get nowadays if you want a nice sealed one. I think if you were to look for the parts, it might be easier. But yeah.
Yeah,
for
he's
sure.
also. I
Yeah.
think the original copy came with a big sticker for his chest. I think he had a big
Mm.
Lego logo on his
That's awesome.
overalls there as well.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's funky.
It's huge.
They don't make sets like they
Yeah.
used to.
No, they
really
do
don't.
not. No,
Yeah.
they do not.
It really changed over the years.
Did we have a retail price on this one?
Yeah, he's 400. right now built.
Or sorry, original retail.
Oh, the
price.
original. No, I wasn't.
Probably. Let me look
could
them up.
find
Do we have the
it,
set number?
Yep. Let's see. It's 3723. It's the minifigure.
And the set name was just minifigure.
Yeah,
So,
just called minifigure. So.
That might be what the new one is called too. I don't think it was actually called, jumbo minifigure
It looks
upscale.
very similar to this one. Of
Let's
course,
see.
I mean it's in the new style,
So-
much smoother.
Yeah, the original retail would have been 150, which is also
Wow,
quite a bit back
that's
then.
pretty
That's a lot.
substantial as well.
Wow.
Let's see what these were.
1,800 pieces.
23 years of inflation later.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
think
yeah,
the new one's only going to be $50. It'll be smaller,
It's
of
much
course,
more.
but it'll be
Yeah.
great price.
he's a head shorter, but
He's a lot more hollow and lightweight, I think, than this guy. He's a chunky boy.
He's heavy.
and curvier too, because this is very pixelated. It's got the blocky look
That's
to
true.
it.
Yeah.
But it makes it a very Lego look.
Absolutely.
It is.
Very nostalgic.
We won't see anything like this again.
This looks like something that you see in the older models at Legoland.
Yes,
So,
yeah, you're right. Like when we went to Legoland, this is what we would see.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, right.
That's great.
We're back.
They
All
were
right.
basically designing Legoland models that were small enough and affordable enough that people could buy.
Mhm.
I imagine they probably sold a lot of these sets in the Legoland stores.
Honestly,
so
yeah.
people could kind of take a piece of Legoland home with them.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of things that are small and affordable, we all had something that was kind of a
Yeah, I
common
was
theme.
I was waiting for
That's-
this.
Let's
straight shot
let's
here.
bring this out here. So back in 2000, nowadays you see Lego minifigures going for $3, $4, $5 or more, and some of the collectible ones being like $20 and all that. Back in 2000, minifigures were way cheaper than they were now. Little Lego people were
It's hard to
affordable.
believe that.
You could get the Rock Raider minifigure packs, which is my third thing that I would bring back from
Nice.
the 2000s. Some sources say $2.99 each. Some sources say $1.99. That would have been a pack of 3 figures.
That's incredible.
So
Not all of them, but
not
we'll
even
get there.
not even $1 per figure. Not even.
Mhm.
And with the little stand and the little card behind them, you have a couple of from Ninja here on the table. We'll talk about it in a second. But so you had.
Yeah, hey, wait, stay on your own turn.
I'm just explaining the card and the stand. Anyway, they had the 2 crew packs. So they had 3 of the original named Rock Raiders characters from the previous
I
year.
need a reference.
Yeah, Rock Raiders number 2 and Rock Raiders number 3. And they had some accessories. They were slightly changed up from the sets, which is odd. Maybe they were running out of certain color legs or something.
Oh,
The
interesting.
wackiest one to me is the one that had the Fabuland shovel.
Yeah, Doc never used a
Doc,
shovel. He
yeah.
had other stuff. But the one that was really getting everyone's attention nowadays is the Rock Raiders number 1, which included the Chief minifigure, who was really only seen on the video games and posters. He didn't come in any of the other Rock Raider sets the year before. He only came in this pack, and for I'm guessing about $1.99, $2.99 at Legoland.
But
and
there was
Toys R
only
Us.
one of him, so he was
Yeah, that's
he was
true.
triple the price of the other ones.
Exactly, he was outrageously expensive back
Yeah.
then. But
Why get one when you could get 3?
if he was expensive back then, he's really expensive now.
Oh yeah,
because
he is.
How much is he?
Nowadays, the 3-pack Rock Raiders are $60 each, roughly. You can see them selling and being
Is
sold for
that
that.
sealed or used?
I think that's actually sealed,
Okay.
or at least new.
Okay.
And so, but Chief, unfortunately, if you want to acquire him now, he's somewhere in the range of about $490 to $500 selling price.
That's insane.
You can see north of that in asking price, especially on eBay, it can be upwards in
It's
$600,
like
$700.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've
some-
seen.
That's insane.
So yeah,
Too
I'm really
good.
grateful that me and Steven got him on Bricklink for $20 back in probably 2007.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
But he's now very beat up because we played with him all day, and so we have a very beat up Chief that's maybe worth about $60 now because the prints are barely visible.
Sad.
But-
But you get your money's worth.
So I would go back and get a nice condition Chief to put in a glass display case. That's what I would
yeah,
do.
when you're rich,
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
win the lottery.
So yeah, there's I think you guys have similar stories to tell with different themes here. What do you
Yeah,
got
so
here?
I'm going to go ahead and go with Ninja Mini Heroes collection. So what was most notable about the Ninja one compared to the others was this one was almost entirely exclusive figures. In all
Yes.
3 packs, there was at least 1 or 2 exclusive figures. So, Rock Raiders, 2 of the packs pretty much just had the main crew, but with some kind of wacky accessories. And then the one of the other ones we're not going to cover is City, which is just why
None of us
bother?
wanted those.
And then I'll save the third one. But Ninja, so there were 3 different ones. They were most similar to Rock Raiders in that there were 3, and one of them was a single minifigure that was kind of a standalone. So Ninja number 1 was sort of this new red and black evil samurai faction. So
Nice.
in the world of ninja, there were mostly these blue samurai that were kind of the good guys, and then it was just sort of this band of robbers that was kind of coming to raid their fortresses and stuff. There was no real organized kind of opposing faction until the second wave, which had the Emperor and some additional colored ninjas that you could use as bad guys if you wanted. But
awesome.
so in Ninja Pack number 1 and 2, we got some different bad guys for this red and black faction. Yep. And then in Ninja number 3, which is arguably the most well-known one, was the legendary, now I would say, Green Ninjas, which I am still convinced kind of set the precedent for the legend of the Green Ninja that played into the early seasons of Ninjago with Lloyd becoming the main character. So, and it was 2 of them, not just one. So there was a male and female Green Ninja, and they did have backer cards that kind of explained their backstories, as did all of these, but they were
really cool.
They were really very generic. They didn't add, except for maybe the Star Wars ones, they didn't really add a lot, I wouldn't say.
Not really, no.
To the characters' stories that you couldn't have got either from the magazines or online or whatever. It was just sort of made up stuff. The Green Ninja's good at climbing, laying traps, and building secret hiding places. You know, ninja things.
Yeah, exactly. Things all ninjas do, yes.
So, nothing that's really going to shock anybody, but a fun little display stand. But I see why these maybe weren't popular with kids back in the day, other than to just get more minifigs. But in terms of, keeping them in good condition or actually displaying them on these stands, kind of like in an action figure style, was maybe not really consistent with what the purpose of Lego was at that time. So
That's true.
it's kind of
really
interesting
true.
to see.
It's also hard to know exactly how many were made or even sold, because we know from the bottom of something that's coming up here that Legoland would have been a place, Toys R Us would have been a place, but beyond that, were they sold at Walmart? Maybe. Were they sold at like Kmart and Target
Probably
back
not.
then? Probably not.
Probably just Lego well, I don't know how many Lego retail stores there were.
Not many in
In
2000,
2000,
yeah,
yeah.
if any. So, yeah, it would have been harder to find, and therefore maybe that's causing some of the value to go up. And it's like, oh, I never even saw these, even though I shopped back then.
A lot of people nowadays don't know that they exist. But this is kind of the predecessor, I would say, for the minifigures line, in that it was basically just a minifigure with a stand.
Exactly.
And a piece of paper,
Cheaper back then, though.
Yeah,
You got
much
to know what
cheaper
you were
back
getting.
then.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is nice.
There you go. But Alex, you also have a couple on the table here from that series. You want to mention those, or?
Absolutely. So mine, I remember these Star Wars ones. The problem is that I never got any of them. And that's why I wanted to go back to 2000 and get these, because they came out with 4. Funny enough, like the Ninja and Rock Raiders each got 3, but City only got 2. But Star Wars got an extra one.
Yeah,
they
4 different
kind of
packs.
stole one.
That was amazing. You can see we actually have some of them. This is the droid one, set number 3343. We also have the Sith minifigure pack, and that was set number 3340. They came out with 2 other ones, set 3341, which had Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Boba Fett. That one is the one that I would want the most.
Yeah.
Because that Boba Fett has gone up a lot because of the Cloud City Boba Fett. It's in the old style from the 2000s there. In the light gray, I think.
Yeah.
It also has the Han Solo, which only comes in this set, and then that White Whale Cloud City set.
Yep.
So that
Which
one's
this is
really
probably the
pushing
only
its
reason
price.
he's not as expensive as some of those other Cloud City
Absolutely.
minifigures, because these weren't common, but it was at least
A second
something
way.
that put more of them out in the
so
market
you
than
had
just
another spot for
that
it.
set.
Yeah. It also came with Luke Skywalker as well. And the last one was set number 3342. Had Chewbacca and also 2 Scout Troopers.
Nice.
I remember loving the Scout Troopers, and I would have loved to have gotten this one to get those. But now they're all over the place. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely would have gone back in time. But yeah, this is the only time they've ever done Star Wars minifigure packs. Love to see something like this again.
Yeah.
But they just won't do it. So, but we know they can because of this.
Yeah, right. This is the thing that people do. This is
Yeah.
probably the most
Yeah.
well-known one, because Star Wars fans always call back to this when they're complaining
Absolutely.
about not getting minifigure packs.
Yeah.
They got away with it
Right.
once. They could do it again.
Right, yeah. The droid one is arguably the lamest, but I mean, they still command a lot of money just because of the box and the little cards and the stands. You see the stands pop up every once in a while, but paper things always get thrown away, and then the minifigures just get mixed in with every other minifigure. So
absolutely,
when you find the paper cards, that's really the most important thing for being able to try and put these back together.
Easily lost, easily thrown away. Cool to see that one sealed here at Atlanta Brick Co. So.
It is. I mean, to have one of these sealed and to hold it is just incredible. I feel like I've gone back in time a little bit.
A 23-year-old set still looks brand new right there.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, and the cool thing about this one, this is why we were talking about where could you find this. It still has the Legoland California price tag on here. So, it's one of the places you can get it. So that's really cool to see. Still on there.
The more we know.
Yeah.
Exactly. So at least one place you could have found them back in the year 2000. However, not everybody was able to make it to Legoland, California that year. So, how accessible were these? We may never know. So
that's why I think most of Lego was... If you weren't buying it at Walmart or Toys R Us or common toy stores, if you wanted the weird Lego exclusive stuff, you really had to get the Shop at Home catalog, and you had to do the mail away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people, I think, were less averse to back then, maybe as they are now, because it was more commonplace to order things from catalogs, whereas nowadays it's like, oh, that's kind of sketchy, right? You're just sending money to someone
mail
without
away
getting anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
An old-fashioned way of shopping, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, circling back here, I've got two options, and I think I'm going to go with the top one here.
This is our last pass, right?
This is our, yes, because we did 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our last pass, and any honorable mentions you want to talk about.
Do you want to do honorable mentions first or at the
Sure.
end?
Okay, I'll do each one, whatever honorable mentions, get them out of the way, then your final.
It seems kind of lame
vote.
to end on honorable mentions sometimes because they're half jokes.
My honorable mention would be basically anything Belleville, but if I had to pick one, it would be the Royal Coach, which had 81 pieces, retailed for $27, had 2 figures with the weird dress pieces and coat pieces for the prince and princess, had a Belleville horse, a bunch of weird pieces.
Had the wacky trans pink arch.
Yeah, huge arches and wheels. Everything about Belleville is just shocking and amazing color-wise and parts-wise. So
Such a great description.
Yeah, I know. It's shocking and amazing.
Chrome.
Yeah, there's chrome pieces all over, and so given that Lego, they're a little bit more careful with their colors and what shapes and molds that they're doing. So this would have been outrageously expensive to produce, and they didn't really sell well. So it's just amazingly failing set, but I love it anyway. So now it's worth about $120 if you want to get a good sealed one or a nice condition one. So it's
still not that much.
Still not that much
compared to the rest of
for
the
81
stuff.
pieces. It's not cheap, but I mean it's
even if you factor inflation into that, that's not that much of an
not
increase.
that high. Yeah. So Belleville's still fairly accessible. It's just hard to find. You got a couple stores in Germany that have them. That's about it. So So anything Belleville, that's my honorable mention. My last pick is going to be King Leo's Castle. So if I was going back, if I was getting any of those sets, King Leo's Castle would be one of those that I would have to get because
you showed us why.
It's cool, and it was a great set. Me and Steven loved Knight's Kingdom 1, loved Cedric the Bull, King Leo, Sir Richard, all the characters, and his castle is very iconic. It still is very unique among Lego castles, I'd say, even though they repeated the design similarly a few years later.
Yeah.
Because
I think Knight's Kingdom 1 is maybe not as memorable for people as Knight's Kingdom 2 because it didn't have that kind of gimmick with the brightly colored heroes.
Yeah, a little more grounded than that maybe.
It maybe gets a little bit lost in the history of Castle, but it was kind of a stepping stone between the true classic Castle and the more modern Castle.
Yeah, basically it's the transition period from the Golden Age to the Dark Ages, and then it'll come back
before
again.
The Renaissance.
So it's the beginning of the end for good Castle, but anyway, so I like it a lot.
Life imitates art.
Retailed for $90 back in 2000. It had 529 pieces according to Brickopedia, 400 according to Bricklink.
Not many pieces.
Not a lot of pieces. That big raised base plate.
Yeah.
And then now to find a good condition one, over $1,000 they're selling for.
That's Castle for you.
Asking prices go up as high as $3,000. $1,000. So that's an outrageously expensive castle set. I know all Lego castles gone up quite a bit in the past few years, but that's just insane.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I probably won't be getting anyone anytime soon just because of those values, but unless I find a great yard sale somewhere, but
That's
I doubt
true.
that.
Didn't we have one built a little while ago?
Not too long ago. And we had one.
Yeah.
No, that might have been the Castle
There was
of
one
Morga.
over the
Morcia.
castle. Oh, maybe it
Yeah,
was.
from the Knight's Kingdom 2. Very similar shape, but different vibe.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my final set pick. I think that, going back in time and stealing sets off shelves, that sounds like a dream to me. I don't know about you guys. What's your last pick here, Dan?
Well, let me throw out some of my honorable mentions as well. So, my very first set, as I mentioned, was from this year. So 6423 mini tow truck. It was a Town Junior set. It was terrible, but I would still like to get a sealed copy of it. So if we were doing our time machine logic, I would probably pick one of those up.
Yep, in the back pocket.
Yep. The set 1349, an unusual set number, but it was the Steven Spielberg branded movie maker set.
Yes.
Which we have up there, actually. So.
Yeah, and
that's
you've
so
probably seen it.
2000.
It's the one with the road plate that splits and it has like these jagged edges and lava coming up through the street. It was like for making, apocalypse movies.
Mm-hmm.
But it came with the big T-Rex, but then there was also one that was just like a giant dinosaur foot on like a thing, so you could have it like stomping into the camera, and there were buildings that could topple over, and so a fun play set. But the real feature was that it came with a camera that you could actually make
And software.
movies with,
Yep.
and software.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
And then from the hit theme scala, we had some real winners in the year 2000, including sets like 3158 Christian in Tough Wear. So I'm sure we'll throw a picture of that up. And
We can't stop.
the real controversial one, 3156 Hot Wear for Woman.
These are the names on Bricklink, right?
Yeah, these are the names straight from Bricklink. So, I get the feeling something was maybe lost in translation there. It's like a little bit like broken English or something.
Yeah,
but-
exactly. Cozy
All right.
outfits for ladies. I don't know.
Yeah, there was one that was
why not?
so-and-so in smooth dress or something. It's just weirdly descriptive names.
Yeah, the translation from Danish to English wasn't working very well back in 2000.
Oh.
so,
Yep.
Yeah, that
Anyway,
one's fine.
all right, I'm gonna round it out with the flagship set from one of my favorite themes. Even though the sub-theme going on during this year was maybe not one of the most popular out of the four, but it was the Dino Research Compound from
Nice.
Adventures. So Dino Island was maybe not one of the more popular Adventures themes, but the Dino Research Compound is still a very cool set. It is one I do have now. It's one that gets a little criticized for being too chunky and blocky and using some big pieces, even compared to Adventure sets that had come several years prior. But as the biggest set from the theme and being in line with Adventures, it just had play features out the wazoo.
Yeah.
So that's a cool one that I think would be a top contender from that year if you were shopping, looking at what's on shelves in 2000.
New that year because
year, yeah.
theoretically they could
That's
still be
true.
selling
Could be
older
old
sets
stuff.
that would be even better than these.
That's true. We didn't look at what was still hanging around from '99.
We'll get there one day, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, Alex, got any honorable mentions you want to mention, or just want to bring
I
out your next
do
picks?
actually. So some of them just very nostalgic for me. There were the Mickey and Minnie sets that came out. They were kind of like a Fabbyland kind of
Yeah.
looking
Yeah, those
Mickey or Minnie.
pieces,
They were
yeah.
pretty nice though,
Mm-hmm.
and I definitely picked those up sealed because my grandparents, Arizona, I'd go visit them. The only Legos they had was Minnie's house with like the Mickey and Minnie, and
That's
it had some
amazing.
big blocky like unique pieces to
Yep,
it.
colorful
like,
items.
for the
Oversized
shingles on the
accessories.
house, and yeah, exactly, and like tons of stickers. And they always fell off. I tried to put them back on there and everything. So, and it came with like it wasn't a base plate. It was like a cardboard piece. It came with, like a little pond and stuff, and the green
wow.
grass, and
That's
so it's
interesting.
very unique, very interesting things they added in there. You don't see it all anymore, so it'd be really cool to get that up or go back and get that for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah.
So that was definitely my honorable mentions. Then the adventure sets as well, very nostalgic too, of the dino theme. I had one of my first Lego sets was I think it was Mike with the pterodactyl. He had like a little
Yep.
glider or something. I think it was from that year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't
Yep.
see the set number for it, but those dinosaur molds were. I loved dinosaurs as a kid. I would go back and get all of those sets
Yeah,
in a heartbeat.
absolutely.
So
And then, so your final pick would be, one of those would be the Minnie Mouse one you said?
Actually, the final pick was those just honorable mentions.
Oh,
it
those
would
are
have
honorable
been set number 3409. It was the championship challenge, the whole soccer arena. I just love the play features on that. That you can actually do soccer with Lego. It actually works pretty good, and it's just so much fun to be able to be the goalie, play with your friends. I think nowadays I saw it was going for about 200.
Okay,
I'm trying to think. I think that was just used.
So
sealed.
pretty affordable in used condition.
Yeah. So
Well, in terms of play features, when you compare that to things nowadays like the foosball table, I'd say they were doing pretty good.
yeah.
It was a lot more realistic, I would say.
Exactly. I think one thing that those Lego sports sets did was actually playing and functioning. They worked great.
Yeah.
So,
Lego went so far above and beyond to make that happen. I mean, I know this wasn't 2000, but the basketball, just minifigures, you could actually like turn them. They
Shoot
came
the
out
ball.
with pieces where, like for the soccer ones, it dipped down for the ball to go into. And the little like flip thing with the minifigure that you put on it, and so fun. Those pieces they made just for these sports.
Yeah,
like
so there was soccer and basketball, and then I think there was also one that was kind of like a not air hockey, but like
there was a hockey one.
There was a hockey game where
minifigs.
again you had the players that could move around.
Yeah.
There was a Technic hockey, and then there was a minifigure hockey too. So
Okay, there was
there's a couple
minifigure
different
hockey.
versions.
Wow,
So.
that's really cool.
Yeah, I remember having the sequel to that soccer stadium. The next couple years, there was one that was a little bit different team playing, so I had days of fun with Steven
Is
playing.
that the
It was
one
great.
we have out there? The one with the dark green base? That's
I,
all one
no, I
piece?
never seen that one
No.
before. So they had a couple iterations of it, but this is the first time they had done
Yeah,
it.
it's the
So
first time ever.
Yeah.
So
great choice to bring back to the
Nice.
modern era. So yeah.
Nice.
definitely get that one.
Yeah, we better get that time machine finished up because these sets all sound really good.
Yeah, it has that Lego theme with like the time cruiser.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like the whole
time
thing.
cruisers. That's
Like
it.
the
Yeah,
Lego-
so-
Yeah.
yeah,
The
time
Lego
cruisers
set,
or Lego
yeah.
Dreams or
That's
something.
all I can think about.
We need to go back and get all these awesome items. But yeah, so
Yeah.
let us know in the comments which one of our picks would you most want, and is there anything else in the year 2000 that really speaks
Go
to you?
browse the catalog. Yeah, search by year on
It's really
Bricklane.
a walk down memory lane.
It really is. But
It's
so
very nostalgic.
we picked a weird year to start with, but there are some really great years for Lego sets. Maybe if we have time and if this video does well, we'll explore those. Which
you go.
years do you want us to see next? Are we going to go to the past? Are we going to go
Forwards or
further
backwards,
forwards? Let us know in the comments. But yeah, thank you guys so much for sharing all your awesome
Absolutely,
set
Yeah,
picks.
thank you, Mark.
Talking about it, I think this is a really fun video. And yeah, thank you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.